Based on their properties, metals and non-metals are placed separately in the periodic table. Let's see how they are categorized in the periodic table. Group 1A means these elements have one valence electron. Group 2A means these elements have two valence electrons. Group B elements are those which are placed from 1B, 2B to 7B, and these three groups belong to group 8 of the B group series. Then we come to group A again. Let's talk about the group A elements right now. So group 3A again means there are three valence electrons. Group 4A, four valence electrons, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So these are the number of valence electrons present in the valence shell of these elements. Now group 1A, these elements are known as alkali metals. This is because when these metals, for example, all these elements belonging to group 1A of the periodic table, when they react with water, they form the corresponding hydroxides and release hydrogen gas. These corresponding hydroxides that they form are soluble in water. So these hydroxides are known as alkalis. Since all these elements on reaction with water form the corresponding alkalis, these elements are known as alkali metals. We know metals are those which have 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons. These elements belonging to group 1A have one valence electron. Since they have one valence electron, they are metals, and since they form the corresponding metal hydroxides which are soluble in water, that is, they form the alkalis, so they are known as alkali metals. The group 1A elements or these metals are very soft in nature. For example, let's see sodium metal. Sodium metal is so soft that it can be cut with a knife. So some of the properties of group 1A elements are that they are soft in nature. Since they are soft, they can be even cut with a knife. They are all ionic compounds. Ionic compounds are those which are formed by the transfer of electrons. Group 1A elements, they have one valence electron. So in order to satisfy the octet, they can easily lose one electron. And thus, these metals are ionic in nature. And when they react with water, they form the corresponding alkalis and release hydrogen gas. Let's come to group 2. Group 2A elements, they have two valence electrons. They are known as alkaline earth metals. This is because the oxides of these metals are found in the earth's crust. That is why these metals are known as alkaline earth metals. Again, on reaction with water, they form the corresponding hydroxides and release hydrogen gas. So the elements belonging to group 2, they have two valence electrons. So they can easily lose these two valence electrons. Thus, these elements are metals. Since the oxides of these metals are found in the earth's crust, these metals are known as alkaline earth metals. Some properties of these metals are that they are harder than the corresponding alkali metals. Alkali metals are very soft. Alkaline earth metals are harder than the alkali metals. They are also ionic in nature. Ionic compounds involve the transfer of electrons. Since these metals have two valence electrons, in order to complete the octet, they can easily lose these two electrons. Hence, they are also ionic in nature. And when they react with water, they form the corresponding hydroxides and release hydrogen gas. Now let's come to this part. That is the elements belonging to group B, from 1B to 7B, and these three groups, that is group 8. So these metals are known as transition metals. They're known as transition metals because they show a transition from the left part of the periodic table to the right part of the periodic table. Hence, we place them in the center. All these elements belonging to group B of the periodic table, they are all metals and they are known as transition metals as they show a transition of properties from the left part of the periodic table to the right of the periodic table. Now you see some elements which are placed separately in the periodic table. Why are they placed separately? Why not merged with the main periodic table? Let's see why. So the two series, they lie behind these two elements, that is lanthanum and actinium, AC. So there are two series which are behind these two elements. This is represented in the three-dimensional frame. Since we do not show the three-dimensional on the two-dimensional frame, that is on the board or on paper, that is why we represent these two series separately in the periodic table. These series are therefore known as inner transition metals. Since they lie inside the transition metal series, that is behind the two elements, such elements belonging to these two periods are known as inner transition metals. They are also metallic in nature. They are not accommodated in the main periodic table because in order to see it in the two-dimensional frame, we place it separately in the periodic table. But since they are actually a part of the main periodic table, they lie behind the two metals of the transition metal series. That is why these elements are known as inner transition metals. Now coming to group 3 elements. They have 3 valence electrons. They do not have any specific name. These elements are also said as belonging to the boron family. They are also metallic in nature as they can lose 3 electrons. Group 4 elements, they have 4 valence electrons. So they neither lose electrons nor gain electrons. Instead, they share electrons. Such elements belonging to group 4A are known as metalloids. Carbon is a special element. It shows properties similar to the nonmetals. So we generally categorize carbon as non-metallic. Now these elements belonging to group 5, 6 and 7A. These elements have 5, 6 or 7 valence electrons. That is, to complete the octet, they gain 1, 2 or 3 electrons. Since they gain electrons, these elements are all non-metals. So the elements belonging to group 5A, 6A and 7A, they are all non-metals. The last group, that is group 8A elements, they have 8 electrons in the valence shell. They do not accept or lose electrons. They already have 8 electrons. That is, they are satisfying the octet rule. So these elements are noble gases or inert gases. So right before the noble gases, we have group 5A, 6A and 7A. And these elements belonging to groups 5A, 6A and 7A, those have 5, 6 or 7 valence electrons. These elements are all non-metallic in nature. So this is how we categorize the metals and non-metals in the periodic table.